Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today in the arena, it's the weekend. And I think that summertime weekends in between sets is a good time to do whatever I feel like, whether it's another format or a ranty video or just, I don't know. But what we're going to do today is Yawgmoth in Historic Brawl, or Pogmoth as the Twitch kids call it. Yawgmoth, the Thran Physician. Let's show this commander in all its beautiful glory. Yawgmoth is 2 and a black for a 2/4 protection from humans, legendary creature, human cleric. You can pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and draw a card. Black, you discard a card and you proliferate. Proliferate meaning that whatever has counters on it, you can add additional counters to it, meaning more -1/-1 counters. Whee! Yawgmoth. It says draw a card. So that is an open-ended sacrifice outlet that also can negatively affect the opponent's stuff and draws cards. That's epic. That's insanely cool. How have I not played this card before? I really haven't. I haven't played it in Brawl, and I haven't played it in Historic or wherever else it happens to be legal, and I haven't played it in Modern. So yeah, we're going to be trying out Yawgmoth today. And in Mono Black, there's a lot of different things you can do. We've played Mono Black combo with Paradox Engine with a Sararak. Trust me, if I wanted to, it wouldn't be too hard. Maybe I will on a stream someday in the future. I could make a Paradox Engine Yawgmoth Thran Physician combo deck because it's so easy to fit the Paradox Engine combo in. But I don't think we necessarily need it. And I don't think it's as synergistic with the Commander as several other fun combos and win cons that we have. So this is an Aristocrats deck. We do a lot of sacrifice type strategies that give us a lot of value. But the way that we build it is different. Usually, when you're building a sacrifice deck, you need to have a lot of ways to sacrifice your things for value and a lot of things that when sacrificed get value. When you're playing Historic Brawl or Commander and you have Yawgmoth as your commander, you have your sacrifice outlet. It's right there in the command zone. So we don't need to play many other sacrifice outlets. It's close to zero. We can just play a whole bunch of things that want to get on the board so that when Yawgmoth comes down, we have a lot of stuff to sacrifice for value. And we don't need to play a lot of like payoffs either for the sacrifices. We will because it's good, and you know, but we don't absolutely need them the way we need a normal sacrifice deck because the payoff is already in 1 card. It's all there in Yawgmoth. Now I'm going to try to highlight some cards that go into this deck that you don't see in other places. Of course, there's plenty of the staples like removal and things like that. I'm going to highlight Village Rites briefly. I don't have cards like Deadly Dispute in the deck or Fell Stinger. I don't want too many ways to sacrifice my creatures because Yawgmoth is going to handle all of that for me. Instead, I'm running 1 Village Rites because sometimes it's very useful, but for the most part, I don't want a ton of fancy ways to sacrifice my stuff the way I would in a typical Aristocrats deck like in Standard or in Explorer, where you need to have, like, you need to draw into the perfect mix, right? Here we don't. All right, some cards that don't normally see play. A Hobbling Zombie. Alchemy actually buffed this card. I was stunned, but there it is. They actually made it a mana cheaper, so it fits in the deck really well. It basically, all these cards are 2 creatures in 1, like Carrier Thrall that you may not have heard of, that you may need to craft. You know, they really work for this kind of deck. Chattering Augur was a card I didn't know existed until Twitch chat brought it up. It's kind of this reassembling skeleton card draw-y thing that can't block. Why not? Let's go for it. You know, it's cards like Direfleet Hoarder. Just look for those sweet death effects. Dreadhorde Invasion is a cool one. You can sacrifice this creature every turn cycle and then get a new one the next turn. So it's like a Bitter Blossom, as close as Arena has to Bitter Blossom. I think Ghoulish Procession fits in this deck really well, since it's going to help crank out so many 2/2 zombies with Decayed. Very, very nice. Jadar also fits in the deck really well. Old card, Lazotep Reaver, you know, Amass. Nice. 2 creatures, 2 mana. Mausoleum Secrets. This is a tutor that I don't think I ever get to run in Brawl. It's another old card. What is this? This is from like Guilds of Ravnica or something. But when you search your library for a black card with mana value equal to or less than the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So if you run a lot of creatures, this is a very good demonic tutor-esque card at instant speed. Very, very sweet. All right, here's a fun one. This is going to be a really fun one for you. Putrid Goblin and Metallic Mimic. So Putrid Goblin has Persist, and Metallic Mimic says when it enters the battlefield, choose a type. Each other creature you control of chosen type enters the battlefield with an addition counter. Putrid Goblin has Persist. Persist means that it enters the battlefield after it dies with a -1/-1 counter. The counter's offset, so this keeps coming back with no counters, which means you can keep sacrificing it to Yawgmoth or whatever else over and over and over again, and it leaves and comes back. It sounds infinite. It's not infinite because you have to pay 1 life for the Yawgmoth ability, but all you need is a Blood Artist or an Ayara, First of Locthwain, to see these things entering the battlefield, creating these triggers, and guess what? You're gonna win. It's gonna offset that life loss and drain the opponent out. So that is one of our little critter combos that we hit in the deck. Xander's Wake is an alchemy card. Okay, how do I do this? How do I put this in a way? How do I keep the comments from becoming just a flaming pile of trash? I guess it's YouTube. What can be done? I try not to put many alchemy cards in my historic Brawl decks. And I also try to use creatures as commanders in my historic Brawl decks more than planeswalkers. Both of these things are because I'm generally just trying to practice and get ideas for my show, The Worst Possible Commander Show, that you've probably seen on the channel. Because I'm really enjoying Commander right now at all kinds of different power levels. So it's with a kind of begrudgingly that I run Xander's Wake. But it is just an uncommon, and it fetches all these cards from the spellbook that are really cool. So it's like, okay, it has death effects. We'll draft some cards from spellbooks, whatever. Undead Augur is another uncommon from the Modern Horizons set that got shoved into Historic that is also very, very good in this deck. So, I mean, you tell me. Sanguine Brushstroke is a rare. I just wanted another Blood Artist. I don't have a Zulaport Cutthroat. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, you know, maybe I'm talking a little too inside baseball. How many of you play Commander? Like, leave a comment on the video if you play Commander. I need to like do a poll on my channel and see how many Commander players we actually have. Nest of Scarabs. Whenever you put 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create that many 1/1 black insect tokens. So with Yawgmoth, you put the -1/-1 counter on the creature, you make another 1/1, you sack it to do the effect again. It's borderline infinite. You can keep going as long as there are creatures, you know, to put -1/-1 counters on. So it has huge impact on the board, and it's an enchantment, so it's just waiting there to do it again. Very, very cool. And I've got Tendrils of Agony, which is a storm card, and I've got Aetherflux Reservoir, and I've got Bolus's Citadel. Citadel is kind of the 1-card combo of the deck. We've seen it in some sacrifice variants in Historic especially, where you just drop the Citadel, you play a whole bunch of stuff with Blood Artist type effects on the battlefield, and it offsets the life loss. If you get a Woe Strider, you just scry through your deck so you don't draw land, and you just go nuts. Citadel is kind of our Paradox engine in this particular build. Pitiless Plunder is a cool one because it gives you a mana outlet. Let's see, Open the Graves. Whenever a non-token creature dies, another 2/2. Yes, more 2/2s. Grey Merchant, often the big finisher that you hit off the Citadel. Good Times, the mana base. There's a lot of utility lands you can run in Historic Brawl. You're probably suggesting them right now. Some of you have probably already typed up list of like 17 lands I'm not playing in my deck. It's because I run Cabal Stronghold. I want this card to be good when I draw it. 3 and a tap, add black for each basic swamp you control. That requires swamps. A lot of swamps. And they're snow covered because I have 1 copy of Blood on the Snow. But yeah, unless the extra land is insane, like Hive, Tower, Reliquary Tower, because we draw a bunch of cards, and Locthwain. Yeah, I don't want to run more lands that aren't swamps than I absolutely have to. So, there. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle. Before we completely dive in after this long intro, I'm not done yet. I am going to continue to try to thank my patrons. Right now, you get a shout out at the $4.99 or higher tier, but it's only fair to thank those who have been patrons for a while. So we're going to hit some amount of the list as I try to catch up with myself. And thank you to everybody who supports on Patreon so much. Mischief Chief, Jenny Roberts, Rick Radsville, Hermes the Nerd, George Moore, Christian McGee, Jay Elias, Kirk Nelson, Rauman Ganef, Wampide, Nerio Lopez, Ryan Chapman, Alex Decker, Igor Frodovolv. I'm so sorry. Ryan Stone, Gregory Vanders, Robert Murray, Ryan Freeborn, Lanoir Shelves, what a great name, Jay Sank, and The Represented. The Represented. That's gonna, we'll do some more in the outro. Yes, post-game wraps are back. Lucky you guys. So I'll see you then. Thank you to everybody who's a patron for so long. You guys are cool. And if you'd like to support, check the description. Let's dive in. Let the nonsense begin. Oh, God. The bridge. Not the bridge. Oh, man. And as a mono black deck, like, what am I going to do? Get my one copy of Feed the Swarm? Like, I guess we can try to duress their ramp spell and buy time. But, yeah, the bridge. Sweet. Can't wait. I love this. Is Yawgmoth Hell Q? So I played some of the Hell Q commanders with Yawgmoth. Shrines? Shrine Gamer, huh? I guess I'm taking the card draw one. But yeah, playing Yawgmoth, I have run into a good amount of Hell Q. Some 5-color commanders like Niv. I've also beaten them. So the deck has been... How do you put it? The deck's been doing something right. Let's get the Dreadhorde invasion down. Let's get that ticking. So here we can go brushstroke into Yawgmoth. The opponent has scriptures. Whoa, nice top deck, dude. Borrowed time. Okay. It's a good draw. Maybe I was supposed to hold that swamp, although nah. The tower is nice and all, but we'll probably discard it to the blood token because we have the Cabal stronghold. Do you need some land? Medomia's Prophecy. Scry 2, then choose a card name, and then when you cast the chosen name, you draw 2. Well, that'll probably fix their draw. Do we get out Yawgmoth? Is it Yawgmoth time? It's definitely not Reservoir time. That's a combo card. I think instead it is Zealot, because we really want to make sure when we play Yawgmoth that we get some value, and it's Hook. Then we have to send a message. Message delivered. Honden of Knight's Reach, huh? And they go for scriptures, so that puts a counter. No, it doesn't have to. So what's this going to do? Next turn, this is going to destroy all non-artifact creatures, so the Blood Artist and the Zealot. Okay, whatever. Not the end of the world. This Blood on the Snow can probably be discarded to the Blood token. We could also sack this for mana because we're not getting it back. Like, it's going to die anyway. And we could Masterminds, but what would we get? We could get Feed the Swarm and get back the Invasion. We could also just have Feed the Swarm handy. I'm sure the time is going to come very soon when we're going to need it for the bridge. Like, am I close to a combo? I guess we just get Citadel, right? Try to go nuts. I don't feel quite prepared for Citadel, but who knows? All right. Take him for a ride. Now, next up, they exile graveyards, which kind of hurts too. Do they go for the bridge? Nope, they've got a Triome. They go for the Honden of Night's Reach, which I guess they named with the prophecy, so that shouldn't surprise me. At the beginning of your upkeep, they discard a card for each shrine you control. This is the first shrine, so it's going to be a slow burn on that. Yeah, I think we're just... Do we get out the Reservoir? Nah. Or do we? We can play out Reservoir and Signet, but then we have to discard the Citadel unless we hold this Swamp. I guess we'd rather get the Swamp down. All right. Hit! Ooh, Fatal Push. That's not good. Oh, do we try to keep going here? Do we try to keep going? They're not going to remove this, are they? They're not going to remove this. No way. Behold my Fatal Push. I already knew it. All right. Citadel does not die. Citadel never dies. No. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. Cool. Do I kill my own Augur here? I don't think so. It's kind of a close one, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, if we hit another swamp, we're in a really good position. We don't have to play this reservoir yet, but I feel like we should. 3 makes 4, so it doesn't really do anything. All right, reservoir, come on down. When we hit a swamp, we'll cast Yawgmoth. Oh, feed the swarm right there. What do we hit? I don't think I need to hit the borrowed time. I'm gonna go for the Honden. Ow. All right, there's our swamp. No! Okay, but we can Yawgmoth. Beautiful. Beautiful, that's game. We got the nest. Yes! So, Cabal Stronghold even floats us another mana. We play Yawgmoth. We sacrifice our creatures. Every time we sack a creature, we put a -1 over here. We move a -1 there. We make an insect. We're just going to keep doing that. I think they die. Well, I guess we don't get to find out, but I believe that's game. Isika again? I don't know if we'll get so lucky as to play against the Shrine version again. I don't know about the hand, but I know we have Woe Strider, and that's an important part of the combo if we're going to get Citadel. And then Mausoleum Secrets. I'm going to need a lot of creatures in the graveyard for that to be good. So you name Zombie with Mimic, 100%. Therefore, we don't need to play it yet, but it gets more damage in probably. So I'm just going to run it out. You always name Zombie for the combo. Okay, raise the Effigy. First creature in the graveyard. Got a nice curve of nonsense here. Just a bunch of, like, medium beatdown. Oh, that's just rude. Alright, our opponent is 1 mana interaction tribal. We'll show him. The goat will have its revenge. Alright, we need another creature in our graveyard to go get Feed the Swarm. Should be doable. Could get Yawgmoth down now, which sack the goat, draw a card is okay, but I think we can set up a little more. We're going to feel really bad if they have Anger of the Gods, though. They foretold a card. It could be Doomscar. Ooh, now I want to play the Invasion, because it's a repeatable source. Nope, they've got Spell Pierce. For the love of God, man. Swan Song, at least I get a 2/2. Dude, 3 1-mana instants? Dude. Easy killer. I just came to play some Magic. I just got some creatures I'm running at ya. Show them what's up. Nothing. Mana open though. Could definitely be counter magic. They'd probably counter this, right? Let's see if we can go get Feed the Swarm. Really blow up their turn when they go for Sika. Okay, they're finally out of cheap interactive action. Finally. Yep, slam the bridge. What's Mono Black gonna do? Okay then. Never mind. They're heading into the archive. And they discard Shatterskull Smashing for reals? Alright, let's play the Shepherd. That way, if my creatures die, at least I get another card from the Dusk Legion Zealot, and I have something on the field. But if I play this with Yawgmoth, it's even better. Alright, now they go for the bridge. Do you think they fetched a counterspell? I'm guessing they did. I don't think I have a good way to draw it out. I'm 1 mana short. 1 mana short of, like, Commander. Oh, we'll try. Uh-huh. Of course they got a counterspell off that. Alright, we'll see what the bridge hits. Oh, they're doing the combo. If they have Alrund's Epiphany, the game's over. Just gonna put a stop on them. Okay. Okay, we gotta kill this. Fortunately, I can instant speed tutor and remove it, but what are they not casting from Foretell? Feels like I saw it coming, right? Unfortunately, once again, I'm a mana short of casting Yawgmoth here. I mean, they're not going to counter the Bloodstroke, are they? Maybe. It's a Blood Artist. It's really close to lethal. Maybe they counter this. Let's find out. Okay. Rah, 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 rah. Roma, roma, ma. Well. Okay. Mausoleum of Secrets. X equals 1. Fatal Push. Draw. Yes! Oh, baby. Tell me you whiff. What? They put another creature in there. And it's not a bad one. How does that... I mean, okay. Sure. Game. We got him. I thought we were going to lose that one for sure. Uro. Ooh, it's going to be hard to drain out Uro. We have a Yara. Maybe not the mana to cast a Yaya. Let's go to work. All we need is the Metallic Mimic. Because we got, like this Metallic Mimic, and this is you die. We got a Snarler. We got an Outland Liberator. Well, my deck isn't nearly as artifact focused as most of the decks in Brawl. That is one thing about this deck that I love. It's it really hits different, you know. It looks like I'm playing a bunch of bad creatures most of the time. but it is persistent. Persist, right? That said, this thing is a pain if we ever want to actually play Open the Graves. Or I guess now Ghoulish Procession. Oops. Drain ya. Attack ya. Trade? Nighttime is the right time. Oh my god, it's the combo, but this thing is in my way. Okay. And they have all this mana open? We can't actually expect this to resolve. So we need to be patient. We need to be a little bit patient here. Let's try to flip the day-night. Maybe we can even get our opponent to activate this. Sure. Weird, but okay. But we cast 2 spells. That'll flip this back. Resculpt. Lame. Let's go here. That's a very commandery card, though. Giving me a 4/4 in this format is kind of dangerous. Okay. Reactive Andy over here. Or Andrea. How do we get what we want out of our opponent? They'd probably counter our commander. They'd probably counter Nightmare Shepherd. One thing at a time. Roar. Okay. Definitely want the double spell, but I want to do it without playing the Mimic. And I'd like to not get my commander countered, so let's go for this. Yay, dismiss. Okay, cool. Take that thing out. Cards in graveyard, now at 5. Main phase Supreme Will. What do they think they need? Another counter and another land. That's what they need. Just bring out Uro, protect it with a counterspell, win the game. Profit, right? Easy. Bastion. Bastion's really good. All right, so what do we need to do? Well, I think we attack. I think what we need to do is get out Bastion, Mimic, and then go for Yawgmoth next turn and hope that they don't have a 2-mana counterspell to go with this Uro. Uro? You know what I'm saying. No counterspell? Try again. Okay. Well, they had the answer anyway. Hopefully they don't have an answer to the Yawgmoth next turn. Their deck is... It leans really hard into the counters. It is annoying. I usually at least try to balance this stuff a little. This might be the best build of Uro. I'm not saying it's not, but it is annoying. Whoa, Wilt? Come on, man. At least they're tapping out. And they are down to 2 cards. And we're going to get this potential reload from Yawgmoth. Unfortunately, our combo got absolutely wrecked, even exiled. That's pretty good. Wow. Okay. What you got? Torrential Gearhulk and Narset. Unwind, dismiss, Supreme Will, Wilt. think we can play around the Gear Hulk and it's more mana. I'm going to take the Narset. That's kind of a tough call. I mean, Narset comes down and hits like a random card, but if it answers the Yawgmoth, I'm in big trouble. Take the better card, right? Here's Yawgmoth. 5 cards so they can bring Uro back if I kill it. Still, if they attack with it, then they just get the effect for free, which is, you know, not reasonable. Okay, 2 land is not great. Kind of needed some fuel there. Definitely needed some fuel there. Huh, they played out the Boseiju. They didn't nuke my stronghold. It's going to become a good mana engine here. All I really need is another good creature. Okay, let's see what you get. A land, good. All right, just don't hit like a negate with this Narset.
I train every day. No one is here to keep an open mind.
Raven form, gross. But I guess we'll take it. We get a bird, right? I could draw a card here. Yeah, I guess. It works because Narset only sees the first card you like. It's the first card I've drawn this turn. I'm sure some of you were like, "No, it's Narset. Don't do it, CGB." I understand. All right. 6 mana. Cool. Onyx. Kill the Uro.
Well, darn. Looks like you flunked.
Command zone or graveyard? They chose graveyard? Okay.
Sloppy technique.
And they hit castle. They kill Narset.
The trick for
They hit counterspell? We'll see. They need to stay gassed up. I'd be tempted to, I'd be really tempted to castle there. Oh, they did go command. It was very unclear to me. Okay, now it's in the graveyard because now it shows the escape cost. Got it. Cultivate, sure. Plusers. March.
Never thought I'd miss the library.
I think they'll counter this, so let them counter this because then we just cast it again next turn. And then we play Open the Graves. Uh-huh. It's nice having a Cabal Stronghold mana battery cooking. Pay for your pact. Land comes down. No Uro yet. So what's your card? Does it do anything good? No. Not well, we'll see. Sublime Epiphany. We're just holding it. There's a Woe Strider, but that can go to the graveyard. We'll take the Jadar.
I have impeccable study habits.
Lead with this. They really want to play this counter spell, so they might just counter this. If they have one. And then we can just escape the Woe Strider again. Okay. They counter this. Great. We'll play it again next turn. If not, they're going to fall behind really fast. Otawara. Okay. It's fine. This resolves. That's cool. All right, Uro's coming back, though, but we can start proliferating Onyx. Ooh, that's a way to get cards.
Why do I have krakens? Just can't kill
Oh, can we not do puns, Kiora? I just can't help myself. I just, God, so bad. All right, we're doing our own things. 2 fresh cards off the top. One of them's Allrun's Epiphany. What a champion. What a gamer. Great. Well, one of those is a land. All right, Goat. Take one for the team. Scarabs. We got a Scryer. If I get another turn, they're probably gonna die. We'll see. I can't, like an Onyx Ultimate actually doesn't kill them. Unreal. Another land. Okay. Well, I'm sure you found that jump cut out of that game is incredibly anticlimactic, and I'm sure you're wondering what the heck is going on here. He's in a different shirt. I can promise you it's a different time of day. So where we left that game, which was a heck of a game, and I was actually really enjoying it. I do think, I think I could turn the corner in that game. I think Onyx, was going to do the thing. I think we were going to win that game. But that's where the power went out. And that's where my entire house lost power for a couple of hours. And yeah, those of you who have watched the channel for a while know that that was a constant struggle and consistent battle throughout keeping the streak alive. You never knew when I would lose power. And at one point I lost power for like 5 days in a row. I lost power for 3 days in a row right towards the end of the streak. Before I battled Croakies, I had to record in a friend's spare bedroom. I've recorded in public libraries. And I always said after the streak ended, when I have those power outages, I don't need to stress anymore. I'm just going to relax and maybe I miss a day of upload. In this case, I already had about 24 minutes of upload ready, so about half a video done, and now I am back home. The power is back on and it's the middle of the night. So I could try to crank out some games. Honestly, I'm super tired, so I'm just going to tell you what happened in the meantime. I left the battle that you just saw, and I went to town, and having time to kill, while I waited for the power to get fixed, I went to town and I went to my local game store, Lantern Games, Traverse City, Michigan, which if you ever want to play against me here in Traverse City, it's beautiful in the summer. You should come up for a visit. And I usually play on Wednesday nights, starting at about 6 p.m. till 8 p.m., right before I record the Worst Possible Commander. They also have Commander tournaments on Fridays at 6:30, and they have Casual Commander Day all day on Sunday, closing at 8, I believe. And I'm usually around. I'm around whenever I'm not out of town doing a different convention or something like that. So if you ever want to catch me there, you're welcome to. But I went, it was Friday, so it was a tournament. And I've been a little interested in CEDH. A few friends of mine are getting into the format. Jonathan Young's been very encouraging in me playing the format. And at Too Many Games, I played with a Hall of Famer and possibly one of the greatest standard player of all time, Brad Nelson, a really excellent player. And he was getting into EDH, and his decks were a little spiky. And if you've watched the Worst Possible Commander show, you've seen me play there. And I usually power my decks down a bit. I shoot for a bit better than a tuned up precon. For those of you who play Commander, you might know what that means. But that's the power level I'm usually trying to achieve. And I've been wondering for quite a while if I just tried to turn my decks up to the max and I put expensive cards in them, if I could succeed. And so this was the tournament. This was the event today at Lantern Games, where I decided to put expensive cards in my deck and see what would happen. Let me see if I can quickly pull up my commander and deck list for you guys, since we're just chilling here now. And like I said, I'm pretty tired. Don't particularly want to dive back into the arena and misplay badly. And again, when I tell you a little bit more of the story of why I'm so tired, you'll be like, oh, that makes sense. By the way, if you stay through a little bit of rambling and story time with CGB, you are definitely cool. If you only love the gameplay and you want to go, I get it. But, you know, my watch time. Guys, hang out for a minute. Hang out with CGB. It was a long day. And, you know, at the end of the day, I keep saying I'm just going to skip videos on days like today, but I never do, because I still really, really, really like making stuff for you guys. It is a very cool thing that I get to do. Let's see. If I do this, and then I do this, do we get it? Yeah, we get it. So, the episode will be out soon. It might actually be out within a week, but what I'm going to play on the Worst Possible Commander show is this deck, featuring my commander, blow it up nice and big for you, Council of the Four. This is not on Arena, and it's not coming, from what I can tell, in Baldur's Gate, unless they announced it since I last looked. Council of the Four is 3 and a white and a blue for a legendary human noble with an 08. Whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, you create a 2/2 white knight token. So it's a really good commander in competitive pods, because everybody's trying to cast a lot of spells and draw a lot of cards. That's like the way that the format works. So if you can get this onto the battlefield, it becomes like, you know, almost every turn, every time around the table, you're making at least a 2/2, and you're often drawing an extra card every time around the turn. And my version for the Worst Possible Commander show was kind of a group hug deck. So some of you might know that name or that archetype, but I have cards in there like Howling Mine. By the way, some of you are freaking out at the monetary value. I'm going to tell you guys a secret, because you're hanging out with me, that I've never told anybody on the internet before. I intentionally change a bunch of my cards to the biggest, foiliest versions to run up the dollar value, because I know, like, some people get really, they get their fix on being really self-righteous about the value of cards, and being like, you have a $3,000 deck versus a $200 deck. I'm going to root for the $200 deck. I'm intentionally inflating my numbers, like this foil Lightning Greaves. You know, I'm intentionally running the numbers up. I do have some expensive cards, like having a dual land mana base is something I wanted for a long time, and I collected a set of revised, so why not? I love playing the old dual lands, but for the most part, it's not as expensive as it looks. But I'm letting that portion of the audience have their self-righteous indignation, I guess. It makes some people enjoy that. I don't always have to be the good guy, especially in my commander pod. I have to try harder to be the bad guy, because people want to root for my opponents, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But anyway, Council of the Four, I took out about 20 cards, including all the cards that are super friendly to others, like Howling Mine and Kami of the Crescent Moon, that let them draw extra cards. And I added a whole bunch more counter spells, and I added a whole bunch of cheap mana rocks like Mana Vault and Mana Crypt, the cards that are generally too powerful that I don't play on the Worst Possible Commander show very often. I try to play them less than once a month. I'm very intentional about this stuff. My show is not designed to be pub stomping, but I took out all the fun and put in the mean cards, and I played in the tournament today, because every time I've tried to play something closing in on CEDH or high power EDH, I've been stomped, and I always feel pretty bad about it. And I always wonder, you know, if I were trying, you know, if I really like dusted off the expensive cards and went for it, could I be successful? And today's tournament was really fun. So first pod, I was with my friend John, who I play the game Monster of the Week with. And I was with a guy named Turbo, who has played in the Traverse City area for a long time, and a guy I didn't really know. But at this point, we look around, 2 mono blue players. John's playing Kaikar with heavy blue. It's Jeskai, but heavy blue. And I'm playing this blue-white deck with 15 counter spells, and it's all about drawing cards and gaining value. And it's like, oh my God, we're just all blue control. And after what was over a 2-hour game. I think it was about 2.5 hours. I ended up getting out a Hullbreaker Horror, defending it. I also had a Nexus of Fate turn in there. I did some nasty stuff, but I eventually took over that game and was able to win, and everybody was pretty supportive. We had a stack that was like 7 spells deep. John and I were having a counter war over an overloaded Cyclonic Rift. If none of this is making much sense to you, please watch more of the Commander show, because learning to speak Commander, no matter how much Arena you play, is probably a good idea, because it seems to be the paper format of choice if you ever go play paper, and I hope that you do, because it's really fun. I think it is like the best paper format ever created, and I lived and died by Standard for so many years. But yes, I think that Standard belongs on Arena. I think that in paper you should go play Commander. It's awesome. Anyway, there was a big fight over an overloaded Cyclonic Rift that involved a Fierce Guardianship and so many other counter spells. It's hard to even remember them all. Forbid was cast. There was just so many things. But the stack was like piled up. We had it all piled up in order with Kaikar triggers, so that it was like this huge thing, and eventually I ended up winning that counter fight. My opponent cast a Thassa's Intervention as their last counter spell, and they tapped out to do it, and then I played a mana leak, and they had something like 40 mana-ish available to them during that turn cycle. So the mana leak coming back to actually nail something was a bit of a surprise to everybody. And so I won that game, and then went on and played the final pod, and they were very powerful decks, very good opponents. They had combos and counter spells, and it was a very epic battle. Eventually, one of our players pulled off an infinite mill combo with Altar of Dementia, Renegade Rallier, and Kaya's Ghost Form. Now, Ghost Form and Rally are on Arena. They just kind of create this endless loop with a sack outlet where you keep getting back the Rallier and keep getting back the Ghost Form. But with Altar of Dementia as your sack outlet, you mill. You mill for every time you sacrifice. So they, milled out everybody at the table. And I tried to let the person doing it know. I said, I have Nexus of Fate in my deck, because I didn't want them to say, I just mill all of you, and then we all flip over our decks. Oh, surprise, I still have a Nexus of Fate. So I told them, like, before we got the milling going very far, that Nexus of Fate was in my deck, and I demonstrated that shuffled back in. And I don't know if my opponent was just sick of playing against blue decks all day. At this point in the final game, Cyclonic Rift had been overloaded 3 times, technically twice by me. Once was my Rift, and the second was a Narset's Reversal on a Cyclonic Rift from the opponent. So at this point, maybe they just wanted to go home and were hungry. Anyway, they milled me out anyway, milled out the rest of everybody else at the table, so I had enough mana to take all the turns and beat them to death with some Karnstrucks and 2/2 Knights. And I won the tournament. And so it's the first EDH tournament event I've won. I got 4 packs of Adventures in the... No, that's not what it is. It's not Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It's Commander Legends, The Battle for Baldur's Gate. And I got 4 draft boosters of that. And I'm going to be honest, felt a little hollow. Like, I wanted to prove I could do it, because I'd lost every time I played against decks that were more competitive than me in tournament settings before. And I always just wondered, if I tried and I like beefed up my decks, would I win? And so the answer is yes. But there's something about, like, if I'm crushing people on Arena, I might be, foiling someone's dream, or making some Boros Mage sit there as I play out an obnoxiously long win con or something like that. And sometimes you guys in the chat empathize with my opponent. I get it. But on the flip side, their suffering is entertainment for a lot of people. At least, I would guess at least 30 to 40,000 of you who watch these videos every day enjoyed their suffering to some extent. And maybe about 10 to 15,000 just hate me for it and just turn off at that point. I don't know. But anyway, so it feels like, obviously these are weird judgments to make around a card game, but it feels like the good outweighs the bad. Their suffering led to your entertainment so much more. So many people were entertained and they don't even know it. You know, they're unanimous. Who even knows if they suffered? Who even knows if they cared? Maybe it was just a game while they were on a bus or on the toilet, and they don't even care 10 minutes later when they just raffle stomp the next person they queue up against. So it's like the suffering didn't matter. It was good entertainment, so it's fine. It's all fine. Even when I lose, my suffering doesn't matter. It's fine. It's entertainment. But in these pods of Commander, like when I won, I was like, I didn't feel really fulfilled. I just kind of felt like, I don't know, like net, it wasn't good. Like me playing my control-y style, even though nobody was super salty with me for the most part. You know, they understood that we were there to compete. Like when it was over, I think I was looking for some kind of a feeling of fulfillment, and it wasn't there. Still not there. And instead I feel like, as opposed to the net positive of my videos, which entertain a lot of people, now when I play Commander, I kind of want that feeling of a net positive. Like whether I win or lose, like if I win, hopefully it's in a cool way. And if I lose, hopefully the people who destroyed me had fun doing it in Commander. Because if the other 3 people at the table had a good time, I can usually say it was worth it. You know, just how I judge like getting these videos done is worth it if a lot of you out there are having a good time. And when I won this tournament, I felt like it was a net negative. I won, but 3 other people lost, and those 3 probably didn't have a very good time. You know, nothing that they're gonna write home about or be happy to have done. It was definitely a long and difficult game, and I don't feel like it was worth it. And I feel like if somebody else had won, I think it would be more net positive. I think it would have meant more to them. I don't know how to explain it, but it definitely puts into perspective why I don't play tournaments or events very much anymore, because this feeling has been there every time. When I have a pretty good event, it's this feeling of, was it really worth it? When I have a bad event, I just hate myself, and I'm like, God, I should be better. I can do better than this. I know I can do better. I have done better. And then I beat myself up. And then at the next event, I try really hard and I do better. And then I'm like, probably would have meant more to somebody else. You know, I used to say a lot, celebrate your wins, because other people won't do it for you when you're an adult. There's no more graduation ceremonies or weddings or stuff, maybe some baby showers, but that's for the baby, you know. Not a lot of, hey, attaboy, hey, attagirls when you're an adult. And maybe I need to find a way to celebrate these wins more, but I also I don't want to make other people feel bad when I do it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to play more C EDH or high-powered EDH. Maybe I just need to keep working on it and get back in the flow. But I don't know how else to explain it. It's weird. I thought, you know, if I smashed this thing and came home and decided to record some story time video for you guys, that it would be fun. We could talk about how sweet it was. And the first game was sweet. Like, I think everybody was in agreement that this was the bluest blue mage game of all time. And when we won, you know, we all like fist bumped and stuff. But the second game, I just kind of felt empty. And it's not that my opponents were even salty. They were probably just tired. But I didn't feel like I was a net positive. Like anybody had a great time. So I don't know. I'm kind of, I guess I'm not used to having that conflict of feelings between winning and having a great time in Commander, because I've only really played it for fun since I started playing the format. I'll have to figure that out. Anyway, did you enjoy Rambly's story time with CGB? I know it's a little bit of a letdown as I tell you about my feelings at the end of it all, but I'm not gonna, you know, lie to you and flex and, oh, you know, some of you might want that. Some of you want to believe in the one invested one. So yeah, that's right. I was the bluest blue mage at the table, and I outblew them all away. This got cringe really fast. Anyway, Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth is a sweet deck. I am sorry I didn't get to play more games with Yawgmoth. And maybe we'll bring it back for a future video someday. But I do highly recommend it. And if you want a list to try, I think this one might treat you well. I'm super exhausted. I played way too much Magic today. I'm going to go to bed. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And in the US, with the 4th of July right around the corner, I hope that you celebrate the holiday and that you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video. You're cool.